Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Tuesday. We are getting close now to the Premier League returning. Last couple of days of international action and then back to the Premier League, back to the fun and games that Arsenal have brought us so far this season, if you can call it fun and games. I hope you've enjoyed the last couple of Q&As I've done. As I said at the start of those ones, thank you very much for helping me get to 50,000 subscriptions. I will try and do some more of those Q&As as we go forward during the week, because I know they seem to be pretty popular, so I'll carry on doing those. But I wanted to do them this week just to say thank you very much for that, helping me cross that 50,000 subscription barrier. Back to a normal type of video today. A few things I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Kieran Tierney first of all. There's been some interesting comments made from Bacary Sagna, the ex-Rangers, Scotland international midfielder, about Tierney, which I just wanted to expand on, really, sort of give my opinion on why I think Arsenal have to make signing Kieran Tierney to a long-term contract this summer, but certainly by the end of this summer, a very big priority. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about Martin Odegaard. I've got some stuff on William Saliba from Bacary Sagna that I wanted to discuss as well. Then a little bit of team news looking ahead to Liverpool at the weekend. So let's get going, shall we? Let's start with Kieran Tierney. Now, as I was saying, some interesting comments have come out from Bacary Sagna, obviously very respected Scottish international from Rangers, but he has been speaking about a Celtic. Would you call Kieran Tierney a Celtic legend, even though he was only there for a few years? I probably would, I think. And he's been talking about Kieran Tierney, and here's what he's had to say. Ferguson said, "If I'm Arsenal, I'm getting him and tying him down, because if I'm a Manchester City or something, I'm looking at a player like Kieran Tierney. That's how good he is. I'll be honest with you, I just love everything about Kieran Tierney. I think he's gone up a couple of levels since he's made the move. I always thought he was very good at Celtic. There was no doubt that he was going to move to the Premier League, but he's gone down to Arsenal and gone up a couple of levels. Now, I am in absolutely full agreement with Bacary Sagna here. I think Arsenal have to make getting Kieran Tierney tied down to a long-term contract absolutely essential. He has still got 3 years left on his deal that he signed when he arrived. That goes till 2024, but you know, even now in modern day, I mean, 3 years, but if you don't get him signed up this year, then suddenly it goes down to the following summer, and then you've only got 2 years, and then you're in that really awkward position where you have to get it done, otherwise he goes to a final year. So I think this is when you've got to start doing it 3 years out from their contract, especially when it's a player like Kieran Tierney, who's young, who in my mind is an absolute nailed-on future captain of this football club. It's been a fantastic signing. He's sort of getting over the injury issues he had when he first arrived now. Only going to get better. I mean, his ceiling, Kieran Tierney, is massive. And like Bacary Sagna says, all the big clubs will be looking around at Kieran Tierney right now. You're looking at Manchester City. You don't really have that out-and-out left-back, really. And there's other clubs across Europe. They will be focusing on Kieran Tierney when it comes to signing up a new left-back. He's got, like I said, he's young. He's got such a high ceiling. That's pretty clear. He's an absolute born winner. His mentality is fantastic. You know, Arsenal are very, very lucky to have him. It's a fantastic piece of business getting him down from Celtic. And they've got to get him signed up to a new contract. I just think it would be an absolute disaster if you suddenly get clubs sniffing around Kieran. Now, and I'm not saying Kieran's going to go and get his head turned, but if you've got one of the big sort of European giants who are playing in Champions League season after season, when it's just, let's face it, at the moment, unfortunately, Arsenal aren't, then anyone's going to sort of look at that if offers come in. So Arsenal need to get Kieran Tierney down. There's a lot of issues they need to sort out contract-wise this summer. I've discussed plenty of those in recent videos, but for me, Kieran Tierney has to be right up there when Edu or Richard Garlick, when he starts his new post as head of football operations, comes in. Tierney has to be at the list of priorities. I mean, there's plenty of contracts I've talked about before. Smith Rowe, even Arteta himself. I'd say Bacary I keep saying that. Bukayo Saka, because even though he's just signed a new long-term contract, again, I would keep doing it. I'd make sure you get Saka tied down constantly as long as possible, because look, we all know how good he's going to be. Then you've got the striker situation with Lacazette and Nketiah, Balogun as well. Loads of contract issues that need sorting for Arsenal over the next 6 months, really, sort of going into the start of next season. And Kieran Tierney for me absolutely has to be at the top of that. Let me know what you guys think on that. I know Kieran Tierney isn't a hugely popular figure amongst the Arsenal fan base because of his performances and his quality. Many of you see him, like I do, as the future captain. Does it getting him tied down to a new contract now rewarding him for the start he's made in the 2 years he's been in North London. Should that be one of Arsenal's key priorities this summer? Do you agree? Do you not agree? Let me know, as always, in the comments below. Right, now let's talk about Martin Odegaard, shall we? A player who has made, say, a very, very big impact since he has arrived in North London. It's been a constant sort of topic of discussion, really, with Odegaard as his performances has improved, as he's settled down at his new club. Can Arsenal sign him permanently? Now, we've discussed that many times on these videos. We've discussed it plenty of times in the Q&As that I've just done. At the moment, there is no agreement to turn that deal permanent in the summer. Arsenal and Real Madrid did agree that they would sit down and discuss the situation at the end of the season with Odegaard to work out what the best way forward was going to be. Odegaard has spoken many times about he just wants some stability now. He's been at Madrid for a long time. He hasn't really got an opportunity. He's been out on loan at Sociedad. Now he's come to Arsenal. He just wants to start playing regular football and have some stability in his career for his first time, really, since he made that move to Madrid as such a young player from Norway. And the issue that Arsenal have, and look, Arsenal, I talked about, there's an interest in Nabil Fekir, and we've talked about Buendia before as well when it comes to creative players that could be on Arsenal's radar this summer. But Odegaard will absolutely be the priority. They want to get a deal done for him, whether it's only another season long loan, or ideally they can get him on a permanent deal. The issue for Arsenal is the longer or the better he plays, and he is going to play better because he's settling at Arsenal. He's got a couple of months left in England, and these performances are only going to go up because we've seen how good a player is. Apologies for my washing machine beeping. You're probably going to hear that a few times now in the remainder of this video. And yeah, the issue Arsenal got with that is obviously it's going to attract attention elsewhere. And if Madrid are even going to consider selling him in the summer, which a lot again depends on, as I've discussed, whether Zinedine Zidane stays there. If he does, then there is a possibility he might move on because Zidane doesn't really get on that well with Odegaard. He doesn't trust him, or he's certainly shown very few signs of trusting him so far since he's come back in as Real Madrid manager. So if Real decide, okay, we will try and cash in on him now, it will help us with our finances. It might help us go out and sign a Haaland or a Mbappe or something like that to get some money in. And they're going to make him available for sale. Yes, Arsenal will be interested, but the issue is you're going to see clubs from all around Europe interested as well because they've seen how well he did at Sociedad, and now, more importantly, how well he has adjusted to a new league over in England and the demands of the Premier League. Suddenly we've seen Liverpool linked, we've seen Chelsea linked, and that is the issue Arsenal are going to have now. It's why it's going to be such a difficult deal to get done in the summer for Arsenal. You got the finances involved. Can Arsenal afford it? That's going to be difficult because I would think you're looking at £50 million around for Martin Odegaard if Real Madrid are going to sell such a young, talented player. And B, can they beat off competition from clubs who are probably going to be in the Champions League? Now, Arsenal, they still have an opportunity of being in the Champions League this season. We know that. It's looking unlikely in the Premier League, but the Europa League, they've got a very good chance. It's still going to be difficult, but when you look at their path through to the final, it's not the hardest on paper. Yes, this is Arsenal. They can make an absolute mess of it. We know that. We've seen it in the past. But on paper, they haven't got the hardest route to the final. If you only, at the start of the season, if you're offered, right, you've got to beat Slavia Prague, and then you've got to beat either Villarreal or Dynamo Zagreb in the semi-final to get to a final, you would literally snap your hands off for that. And then, yeah, it's going to be a shootout potentially with Man United or Ajax or someone like that in the final. But there is that, it's a big possibility. Arsenal have got a good chance of qualifying for the Champions League. If they can do that, then you look at Odegaard and you think it's going to be a hell of a lot more likely that Arsenal might be able to tempt him to come on a permanent basis to England. If they don't get to Champions League and Real Madrid do decide to sign, then you're going to have issues of other clubs potentially in the Champions League offering Odegaard, probably you'd say more money, and offering Champions League football, and that's what's going to make it difficult. Arsenal will also have, which might help them in the long term, that relationship, the previous relationship that they've built up over the last few months. He gets on very well with Arteta. He's already described him as amazing. Obviously likes the way he wants to play football. He feels settled at Arsenal. He's showing that. He's admitted that already. He knows at Arsenal he's got a manager who's going to trust him and want to play him week in, week out. So there are positives in it as well, but there are negatives with it. And so it's going to be a really interesting transfer saga for me, Martin Odegaard. I mean, it'd be great if Arsenal signed him. We all know that. I think I doubt it. Let me know. It's always in the comments below if you think Arsenal should sign Odegaard on a permanent basis if they can in the summer. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see many of you saying no in that regard. So yeah, it's certainly an interesting one to keep an eye on. Okay, away from Martin Odegaard now, let's talk about William Saliba, another very talented young footballer, not playing at Arsenal at the moment. He is out on loan at Nice, as you all know. I've been speaking, as you've seen, I've released a couple of interviews from it, and I will, if you look in the comment below, the pinned comment below, I'll put my the interview that's been published on Goal this morning with Bacary Sagna, talking about William Saliba. I'll talk through some of the quotes he's had to say to me now. Now, I spoke to Bacary a while ago, just after the first lockdown, and I was talking about Saliba, and he was telling me how excited he was about him coming to Arsenal. He thought it was going to be a big success. So when I spoke to Bacary this time, I reminded him of those comments and said, "Are you surprised that he's the way things have gone for Saliba at Arsenal since we last spoke, and the fact he's not really been playing too much?" And he said to me that he wasn't surprised, and that obviously the big step up from France to the Premier League. He said, "I'm not surprised because he's joined the best league in the world. Being good in France is totally different to proving himself in the Premier League. But I still have trust in him. I think he's a good player and he can adapt to Arsenal because I've seen him play many times. He's doing well at Nice. He's probably been their best player since he's gone on loan. At that age, you need to be playing. He has big potential and people in France know it. Sending him away is not a bad thing. It's not a punishment. To me, it's clever to send him on loan rather than being on the bench or not being in the squad." Which I thought were quite interesting comments, because I know Sagna has watched Saliba an awful lot of times before he came to Arsenal, since he's come to Arsenal, since he's been back at Nice, and there's few players that I would probably respect their judgment more when it comes to defenders, and Bacary Sagna, so certainly been one of the best defenders I've seen at Arsenal in the Emirates era. And I thought it was interesting. He said it's not a punishment. Yes, I think we all wanted Saliba's time at Arsenal to go a little bit differently at the start, but I'm kind of in agreement with Bacary here. If he's not going to play, and if Mikel has seen something in him that he doesn't think he's quite ready for the Premier League yet, and that if throwing him in early might hurt him, then sending him out on loan is certainly not a punishment. The one thing that I've said at Arsenal absolutely mucked up on with Saliba, and I've said it from the start, is not sending him out on loan at the start of the season. Why they kept him for those few months was ridiculous. I know they tried to get that deal done with St Etienne right at the end of the summer transfer window, but the failure to make that deal happen, I think, was a big mistake. It's good they've rectified that now, and have found him a good club in January, and he's doing very well. But yeah, I think that was the one area of Arsenal's handling of Saliba which was really poor, was failing him to get in that move in the summer, when once they decided he wasn't really going to be involved in the first team. And I asked Bacary, what can he do to improve? What do you think he needs to do to get himself more in Mikel's plans when he comes back from Nice? And that's what he said. He said, "I'm watching games and maybe he needs to be a bit more aggressive, be a leader, especially in his position. I don't know if he speaks English. This could be a problem when you come to a new country, because you need to adapt fast. You don't have time. Time is a luxury you don't have at a club like Arsenal, because you have to play straight away. To adapt, it can take months." And Mikel probably saw a problem and thought, you need to be more aggressive. You need to go out somewhere and play. Then when he comes back, he'll have the mentality needed for the Premier League. I think we're all hoping that once he comes back in the summer, that Arsenal are going to have a very special centre-back on their hands in William Saliba. We can see the potential, even those of us, and I'm one of them, who hasn't seen much of him actually play regularly on a week-in, week-out basis, but you can see when you do watch him, he is a very talented young centre-back, and he's going to do very well, and he's doing very well in France now. It's just a case of, can he settle, can he adjust to England? Can him and Mikel build that relationship where Mikel trusts him to play him in the Premier League? That's going to be key. And this summer's going to be very interesting in that regard when William comes back to England. Okay, so now quickly moving on from that and taking a little bit of a look forward to the weekend, some early team news for Arsenal versus Liverpool. In terms of Arsenal, we're still Bacary, I keep getting confused. Bacary Sagna. Every time I mention Bacary Sagna and Bacary Saka in the same video, I have an absolute nightmare. So apologies for that. So Bacary Sagna is still doubtful for the Liverpool game, but we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a late decision on him. He's obviously been back at London Colney working on that hamstring injury that ruled him out of the England games. He's been working hard. Arsenal are hopeful of him being involved for the Liverpool game, but no firm decision has been taken yet. Aubameyang is now back in England after his international duty. No issues with him having come back from playing for Gabon, so that's great news. Thomas Partey as well is believed to come back okay. Nicolas Pepe, Alexander Lacazette is fine. We've seen him, obviously didn't go away with France, but we've seen him at training, which is all good news. In terms of Liverpool, they've had a little bit of a boost ahead of that game in Roberto Firmino. It now looks like he is fit. He's missed the last few matches for them, but he is back now training ahead of the game at the weekend, so you would think he'd be involved. Whether or not he plays is another thing, because Diogo Jota obviously scored for Liverpool before the international break. He scored a couple for Portugal during the international break, so it may well be Jota who plays against Arsenal at the Emirates, leading the strike force with Mane and Salah on either side. One thing with Firmino, though, is I think he scored 8 times in 11 Premier League games against Arsenal, so he certainly knows what it takes to score against the Gunners. Most of those are at Anfield, though. I think he scored he scored, didn't he? I think he made it 3-3 in that amazing game at the Emirates when we scored 3 goals in the space of 5 minutes. When Ozil scored the little dink, which was one of the great Emirates moments, and Firmino scored the equaliser. So he certainly knows how to score against Arsenal, and he'll be looking to add to that at the weekend. But like I said, I think you probably expect Jota to possibly line up leading the strike force for them. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. We're getting closer now to Mikel Arteta's press conference. We're expecting, all that hasn't been confirmed yet, expecting that's going to be Thursday morning ahead of Saturday's game. So please do watch out for that. I'm headed out to the golf course tomorrow morning, so I won't be doing one of these videos, but what I will hopefully do will be uploading the remainder of my chat with Bacary Sagna for you to watch, where he talks about the likes of Saliba, Bellerin, Hakimi, his thoughts on what Arsenal need to do to improve in the transfer market, that sort of thing. So keep an eye out for that one. Till then, everyone, have a very good day. Enjoy the sunshine if you're here in the UK, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.